what has more value? Is an air flare much more valuable than a head spin, or an air chair spin, or an elbow spin? Oh, speaking of battling, I think Bboying is going to be making its premiere this year, right, in the Olympics.
That's right.
So how did? And I'm in a part of a lot of Facebook groups, and then when it was first announced, I think it's still controversial within the community. How do you guys feel? I feel like, on my honest opinion, I think it's a great way to kind of introduce the culture, almost like in our terms, in a sense, because I feel like back then, since a lot of the pioneers were younger, a lot of people, they were just taken advantage of by the fucking money-hungry people. But now that they're older, more mature, understand how, realized that before, I feel like it's great. It's going to show the world what this culture is about, the whole hip-hop culture, b-boy culture and everything. Probably piss off some gymnasts. Some gymnasts. But yeah, I'm excited for it, to see that happen. So what about you guys?
It's like a double-edged sword, because you said a lot about culture. If it's going to be on a platform like the Olympics, I mean, that's great to get more eyes on the art of b-boying. But at the same time, that art could get tainted, because what are they battling for? They're battling for a gold medal. They're battling for bragging rights. You know what I mean?
And that's the thing. Like, how are they even going to score these?
Yeah. That and like
we've talked about this like endlessly before, but like we're still in the dark. Like what, how? Because like I know how gymnastics is scored.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know how like it's not in the Olympics, but like cheerleading, that's like they have sections. Like they have tumbling sections. They have choreography sections. They have lifts. They have this. In dance, like in ballroom competitions, it's like, you know, illegal lifts are a thing. Like
power moves.
Yeah, like so.
Points,
what are the
technicality?
Yeah, like how is this even judged?
What's up, everyone?
No, I was about to say, like, even then, it's hard to say. How do you define style? How do you define like someone's footwork?
Because there's so many like styles within
power moves. Like
b-boying.
What has more value? Is an air flare much more valuable than a head spin, or an air chair spin, or an elbow spin? So it's like it's so like subjective.
Yeah, and then I mean, here's another thing. Like, who are you gonna have judge it? Are you gonna have actual like people who've been in the battle scene judging it, or are you gonna have people who think like, we're gonna have like 5 people look through like 100 hours of b-boy history and b-boy moves, and then they're going to judge it? And like, I mean, who's gonna judge it? And then that leaves another question, like, who to them, what's a good b-boy?
Yeah.
But like that's where me is that gets me worried on.
I mean, I think
the knowledge of the culture is going to get lost because it's now being
that's kind of a given.
You know what I mean?
Sense.
And that's like, nah.
I think just giving them benefit of the doubt, they're smarter this time around. I think they're going to do their best to represent the culture. Mm-hmm. Like, if anything, that's more.
And also, it's happening in Japan, where like Japan, will take a culture that's outside of their traditional culture and like respect the shit out of it. They have cholo culture in Japan, and they respect the shit out of it.
They do.
And there's this bunch of artists that do cumbia music. I'm like,
and
then like, they do it so fucking well, and it's not like
deep into it.
I was like, yo, you guys might as well just be Mexican.
Right, you might as well, like, you look the part, like. But yeah, with the
it's
whole,
like they respect it.
With the whole judging thing, that's always a cause for concern. I'm like, yeah, it's cool, like recognition in the Olympics, like, because there's always been that topic of like, oh, dancers aren't athletes and blah blah blah, and I'm like, well, it sure feels like it. It sure feels like.
You want to talk to Emery's knees real quick?
Who said that? So, I'll be like, the fuck you talking about? Do you know what you're talking about? Have you danced? Have you done through Hell Week? Have you had performances? Have you torn your knee on stage while dancing and still finished the set?
I've never done that.
My hip cramped in the middle of like a jazz routine once. Like my leg was just out, and I was supposed to like drag it in like really slowly, like back to like this. Like my legs were supposed to be like kind of like this one leg, and then I was like drag it out like here and like do a walk. I was like,
you were being dragged out.
See, my story was, has anyone done Urban Street Jam in 2012? I think Fanbiz was there.
I did in 2012. Oh yeah, Fanbiz was there. Which part? Earlier? That was like earlier in the year, right?
Yeah, I like, graduated that year, man.
That was the year I fucked up my knee during the performance and still finished. Because during our set, it was during our B-boy set, and we had to do a Chinese getup. I did my Chinese getup, but I had too much energy. So when I got up, landed, popped something in my knee, and it was like we still had 1.5 more songs to go, and I was in both of them.
Shit.
Someone was like, I finished. And as soon as the performance is over, because you know how that stage is, it's like just stairs, like you could easily jump off the stage.
Yeah.
So I limped over to the side of the stage, gingerly let myself down, and we still had to get interviewed. I forgot what the company was called.
No, I remember they interview after your performance. Yeah. I do remember that shit.
It's almost like a post-game performance.
Yeah, so the thing was...
A post-performance interview?
Not gonna lie, they asked me the first half.
The thing was, at that point, all the adrenaline wore off. So I felt all the pain.
You're just like,
so I'm being, homies, let's go. We forgot that we had to get interviewed, and they pulled us. Seeing me getting carried like that, guess who got interviewed?
You?
This guy.
The one that died on stage.
How do you feel about your performance? I feel real good.
Yeah, real good. It's like, and then like they brought up the obvious, like, oh, looks like we had an injury. Can you go into that? I'm like, yeah, I did it.
Why the fuck would you want to go into your injury?
I would like to go into a medical tent, please and thank you.
And I was like, yeah, I kind of messed up my knee during the Chinese getup. Like, but you still finished your performance. We're very commendable of you. I'm like, yeah. And in my head, I'm like, can you fucking finish
Get the fuck out of my face, please.
I
need medical attention, not a camera in my face.
But yeah, and that was like that was the first year I met John, or I would start being friends with John and Liz, because they were really cosmic at the time, and they saw me on the side like, oh shit, B-Rock, what happened? You good? Because we were working Urban Street Jam. We were part of the urban team at that time.